Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 41, No, I Just Want Your Daughter. Luozi opened his mouth and was speechless for a while. He and Cyrus only met once, and he doesn't know why he trusts him so much. Probably desperate. I'm now being hunted down by Doflamingo's men. If this continues, their lives will be in danger. Cyrus knelt on the ground and kowtowed, Mr. Luozi, please. Even if you don't ask, your daughter will be fine. Luozi cursed from the bottom of his heart. He originally planned to send charcoal in a timely manner, and use this incident to settle the couple of Cyrus and let them agree to their daughter going to Elijah. Now it seems that there is no need to waste more words. The desperate Cyrus, for the sake of the lives of his mother and daughter, was even willing to believe in him, a man who had only met him once. I see, I promise you. Do my best to keep them safe. Luozi nodded in agreement, nothing more than bringing an extra person. Considering that Rebecca is only 4 years old, it is really not suitable for not having a mother. Mother Scarlet, in the original book, remembers being shot dead by Doflamingo's men. Without his intervention, this would have happened very quickly. Go and see your daughter first. Come together. With that said, Luozi had already walked towards the wooden house. After hesitating for a moment, Cyrus followed suit. Tock tock. After knocking on the door, Rebecca's slightly wary voice came from inside the room. Who is it? Mom. It's me. Rebecca in the room was nervous for a moment, then remembered where she had heard this voice before. She secretly opened a crack in the door, and when she saw Luozi with her big eyes, she immediately smiled. The little big brother of the arena. Seeing the toy soldier again, his eyes were full of confusion. Rebecca, your mother is in danger. I'll take you to find her. Luozi reached out to her with a smile on his face. This is. Just as he was about to introduce, Cyrus interrupted. He resisted the urge to step forward to hug his daughter, and said with difficulty, I am a toy soldier? Little girl, you must listen to your mother from now on. Rebecca looked confused. At the moment of turning into a toy soldier, it seems that the toy can talk, which has become common sense. Seeing her expression, Cyrus wanted to reach out his hand several times, but finally let it go reluctantly. He looked up at Luozi. Please? The king still needs me, so I'll go first. Said, resolutely left. King Liko has reinvented him, so he can't ignore it? Now that his wife and daughter have been entrusted to Luozi, he has no choice but to trust this 12-year-old Shishibukai child. Watching him leave, Luozi hugged Rebecca and said with a smile, the one just now was your father. Father. Rebecca had no memory at all. You will know later. Let's go. I will take you to find your mother. Without taking the person into the different space, Luozi hugged the little girl and headed towards the city. Scarlet felt a little uneasy. She bought at least 5 days' worth of vegetables from the market, and when she was about to return home, she always felt that there were many wonderful sights on the street. Seems to be staring at her. Why did father borrow 10 billion Baileys? After making lunch for Rebecca, let's go to the palace to have a look. Scarlet quickened her pace. As a princess who abandoned her position, she seems not qualified to return to the palace. On the bright side, the whole country knows that Princess Scarlet is dead. But she was still a little worried about her father's situation. After leaving the market and before leaving the city, suddenly, several men with fierce faces appeared in front of them. She paused. Hey, I found it. One of them smiled strangely. Princess Scarlet, the order of the young master is to kill. Don't blame me. The man raised his pistol and pulled the trigger. Scarlet was so dazed that she didn't know how to dodge, and she didn't have the strength to dodge bullets. What young master? Why did you want to kill her again? Why did this group of people know that she was a princess? These doubts flashed in my mind, and what finally appeared was the appearance of my daughter Rebecca. Suddenly, at the moment when she thought she was going to die, she saw the space in front of her, which was distorted. The bullet seemed to have fallen into a momentary stillness, and then disappeared inexplicably. I've been looking for you for a long time. You can really run around. On the roof beside, Luozi hugged Rebecca. Mom. Rebecca in her arms reached out to her mother. Scarlet raised her head blankly. Rebecca. The man who shot was stunned for a moment, then his expression changed. 7 warlords of the sea, dragon rider Luozi? Why is Shishibukai, who is the same as the young master, here? Of course it was your young master who robbed my dance teacher. As soon as Luo Zi finished speaking, Kuai Long descended from the sky. Boom! The claws directly slapped the man's body, killing him. Then there was another sweep of the tail, and the rest of them were immediately sent flying, crashing into a nearby room. After clearing up a few little ones, Luo Zi jumped down and put Rebecca down. Mom! Rebecca threw herself into her mother's arms. Scarlet hugged her daughter in a panic. It's okay, Mom is here. Why did you come out? Who is this little big brother? She didn't even know Shishibukai. It's the little big brother from the arena. He brought me to find my mother. Hearing this, Scarlet looked up at Luo Zi. Thank you. Who are you? You are being watched now. Go to the Kamui space and stay for a while. Luo Zi walked into the other party, his eyes fixed, and he immediately sucked in the mother and daughter. Next, there is the dance teacher, Violet. The center of the city, the palace heights. In the huge palace, most of the Liku King's army were killed. Doflamingo sat on the throne, surrounded by family officials. How is the king? Fufufu, it's the former king. A family member reported, the king is still raising money, but the gladiator last night has not been found yet. Fufurfur, his wife hasn't been found yet. Regarding this matter, according to the information just received, Brody and the others are dead, and the body has been found. Hearing this, Doflamingo frowned. Who did it? I don't know, the eyewitness said. It was a dragon suddenly. This person was only halfway through, when suddenly, boom, the ceiling of the house was shattered, and in the dust, Luo Zi rode a fast dragon and landed here by air. I did it. In a word, everyone was silent immediately. Torrible said hee. Hey, the people who killed us dare to come out. He was about to make a shot when Doflamingo suddenly raised his hand to stop him. Fufurfur, Shishibukai, Dragon Rider Luo Zi. Doflamingo grinned and stood up from the throne, put his hands in his pockets, and approached step by step with arrogant steps. We are both 7 warlords of the sea, we should get along well. Luo Zi sat cross-legged and pointed at each other. Destroy the dead light. The next moment, a beam of golden light pierced through the palace and shot straight into the sky. Boom! Chapter 42, When we meet, we will destroy the death light. The golden light pierced through the palace in an instant and shot straight into the sky. Little Lord Dover. Several family cotters shouted and avoided. It wasn't an attack aimed at them in the first place, but it just penetrated the palace, causing the wall to collapse and countless rubble to scatter. Billowing smoke and dust gradually dissipated. Doflamingo came into view. Half of the body on the chest has disappeared. He kept dodging to one side, his body leaned to the right, his left foot was off the ground, his head was turned to one side, the corners of his mouth drooped, and his face was frightened and angry. He was aware of the attack, but was too close to get out of the way. Furfurfur, is it too much trouble? The heavily injured Doflamingo suddenly made a voice. I should be meeting you for the first time. Is there any enmity? Not really. I just see that you are too arrogant and don't realize it. I'm really sorry. Luo Zi sat on the dragon's back and said lightly. Am I arrogant? It's you brat who is arrogant? Doflamingo's expression froze, and the wound on his shattered body suddenly began to disintegrate. Silk threads that were invisible to the naked eye shot out quickly, like the silk spun out by a spider, weaving a cage in the hall. Luo Zi felt very familiar with this scene. It seems that when I was a child, the sweater knitted by my grandma broke. He pulled one of the threads and tore the whole dress apart. Shadow Night String. The voice came from behind. Luo Zi looked sideways. Another Doflamingo, to be precise. It was Doflamingo's body, walking in from the door. His walking pace is still like a street runner. Fufurfur, I am the informant who ate the string fruit. What you hit just now was just my clone doll. It's a pity that you almost killed me. As a cautious and cunning man, since he dared to come here for a coup d'état, he would of course be fully prepared to expose a clone to the outside, which could effectively avoid some possible dangers. I know, I didn't intend to kill you, before I asked the answer to a certain question. Luo Zi got off the dragon's back and touched Kuei Long's head. Look at these cotters, don't let them disturb you. Seeing this, Torrible and the others turned serious. Dover, be careful, that dragon is strong. Doflamingo stretched his right hand out of his pocket, moving 5 fingers slightly. In the next moment, dozens of invisible threads wrapped around Luo Zi from the corner of his vision. Luo Zi raised his hand, drew out the knife, and put it on his neck. Parasite string. Seeing the effect of the move, Doflamingo grinned and said, "Next, explain why you attacked me." "That's it." Luo Ziyi's tone was disdainful. "Everything is ashes." Ryujin Jaka, puff. The flame born from the blade quickly spread throughout his body, and the parasite string wrapped around his body was burned in the blink of an eye. The flames even followed the silk thread and rushed towards Doflamingo. Dozens of flames shot out in unison. Doflamingo's complexion changed slightly, and he immediately cut off his moves, frowning into a cross between his brows. The flame gave him a very bad feeling. Luo Ziyi didn't talk nonsense, and at the same time as he swung his knife, he immediately got close to the opponent. Doflamingo seemed to be petrified, and stood there in a daze. Suddenly, a petite figure appeared beside Doflamingo. The little girl in a red cloak and a Madara-dotted dress stretched out a palm to him, completely unafraid of the flames wrapped around his body. "Turn it into a toy." The little girl had a playful smile on her lips. It's just that this smile froze after her palm passed through Luo Ziyi's flame and body. The blade that Luo Ziyi held was slashed casually. Flame. Avoid God? Only then did Doflamingo realize that something was wrong. He wanted to lure the enemy deep and turn people into toys. But Sugar missed it. At this time, if you want to dodge again, you have no reaction time at all. The flame slash landed on his abdomen, and in an instant, under the splash of blood, his whole body was blown away by the knife. Boom! The body shattered the wall behind him, and the flames burned his soul. There was a cry of pain. Luo Ziyi turned his gaze and landed on the little girl. "Even if it's the face of a little girl, I will cut it off." As he said that, he chopped it down with a knife. The granulated sugar stays completely in place. What happened just now? Her hand went through the other person's body. At this time, seeing Luo Ziyi slashed down with a knife, he was so frightened that he couldn't move. Call? There was a wind and snow in the room, and a figure flashed quickly. Luo Ziyi's knife suddenly paused and stopped. A 17 or 18-year-old woman was holding Granotang, as if she was about to block his knife with her body. This woman, Monet? Luo Ziyi was somewhat impressed. The way this woman died was so funny. She was stabbed to death by Guy by accident. Bullet string. Suddenly, in the direction of Doflamingo's flying, countless silk threads condensed into one, like a bullet, hitting Luo Ziyi's head at high speed. "It's really good to be able to fight back instantly after being slashed by me." Luo Ziyi slandered from the bottom of his heart that people in this world are all physical monsters. With a movement of his body, he walked towards the opponent while avoiding it, like a stroll in the courtyard. Passing through one wall after another, and finally hundreds of meters away, I saw Doflamingo stuck to the wall, covering his wound with one hand, and holding his index finger in the other. "Huh!" he panted, his face extremely ugly. Luo Ziyi glanced at his wound. Not very deep, at least the internal organs were not cut. "Brilliant! Did you use haki to defend the key position at the last minute?" Dropping ruffian string. Suddenly, Doflamingo raised his arm, his 5 fingers turned into claws, and swung down suddenly. 5 invisible silk threads pierced through Luo Ziyi's body obliquely from behind. Boom! The silk thread fell on the floor and pierced in an instant, leaving 5 thin gaps. What? Doflamingo looked shocked. Hit? He took advantage of the gap when the opponent came walking, and the killer move he created really hit the mark. The opponent didn't even hide for a moment. Of course he was hit. However, it missed again. There is no feeling of breaking through the flesh? What kind of ability? Doflamingo's mind turned, and his brain quickly analyzed, spatial type, or substitute death. Damage. Transfer? Illusion. Compared to this, the flames inspired by the knife just now burned the soul. His injury was far more than what it appeared on the surface. Luo Ziyi calmly said, "Ask you a question, you answer honestly, and I'm not interested in interfering with what you do." Question. Doflamingo looked pale. "If you want to ask, just ask directly. Do you have to cut a knife? Is Luo Ziyi easy to bully?" For the anger in his heart, Luo Ziyi didn't care, and just said calmly, "As celestial dragons, you know the secret of the national treasure. What is that thing?" As soon as the words came out, Doflamingo's pupils shrank suddenly. Even more shocking than before. Chapter 43. Luo Ziyi did not ask what is the thing in him's hands, but asked what is the national treasure. Even so, it still made Doflamingo look shocked. He stared at Luo Ziyi, Where did you know about the national treasure? Even among the celestial dragons, it's top secret information? Who are you? The guy's demeanor has changed. Luozi clearly felt that Doflamingo's hostility was many times stronger than before, and he did not hide his killing intent. After thinking about it carefully, he immediately understood. The ultimate goal of this guy is to destroy the world and pull all the celestial dragons off the horse. This stems from his experience when he was a child, and he belonged to the father who was cheated by his son. In order to achieve this goal, Doflamingo needs the power of the national treasure. I'm not interested in the national treasure, I'm just curious about what it is. Luozi said calmly. Its existence alone can shake the world. I heard this sentence from someone. This sentence was said by Doflamingo, 12 years later. The it in the words should not refer to the national treasure, but I'm the owner of the Void Throne, the real king of the world. His existence itself shows that the equality preached by the world government is a hypocritical lie. Therefore, once I'm is known, it will shake the legal principles of the world government. Without legal principles, the system of franchise countries of the world government will collapse. There is no member country that provides money from the sky every year, and the world government takes the lead to maintain such a huge institution. Moreover, Marine's justice will also drive them to split with the world government, and even Marine will split internally. At that time, in order to continue to rule the world government can only resort to force. That is, whoever refuses to accept will be destroyed. Create another blank 100 years and a historical reincarnation. It is precisely because of knowing this that Doflamingo was extremely shocked when the word national treasure came out of Luozi's mouth. They stared at each other in silence for several minutes. Doflamingo narrowed his eyes, grinned, and let out an inexplicable laugh. Furfur. Yes, I don't know who you heard this information from. But indeed, its very existence can shake the world. Since you know everything and found me, it's okay to tell you? National treasure is a thing comparable to ancient weapon. Hearing this, Luozi frowned slightly. Comparable to ancient weapon? Isn't it ancient weapon? Isn't it Uranus? Why do you think it is Uranus? Doflamingo sneered. 800 years ago, 20 countries united to destroy a huge kingdom at that time. Ancient weapon was created by the huge kingdom. Do you understand? It has to be said that there is some truth to this argument. There are 3 ancient weapons in the huge kingdom. The original 20 countries must have some kind of equivalent power to fight against the ancient weapons, right? Luozi thought of the only time I'm shot. The king of the world drew a circle on the map, and a country disappeared. Really destroy the country with a flick of a finger. No matter how he/she did it, this kind of destructive power is comparable to that of Karakura. It is precisely because of this that Luozi didn't blow up the world government immediately after getting Karakura. He was afraid that the killing would not be clean, and when he turned around, others would inflict divine punishment on him. Of course I'm not afraid of being alone, but there are so many people in Elijah. This is the way of dragging the family and taking care of the mouth, and there are scruples. You can't hide people in the Kamui space all the time, can you? That place is not Xanadu. Of course, he is not afraid of world government either. Big deal, let's exchange 1 for 1 at the limit. So, what exactly is it? Luozi restrained his thoughts and asked directly. Do not know. Seeing Luozi's unfriendly expression, the corner of Doflamingo's mouth twitched, and said, I only know that it exists and is controlled by celestial dragons. To control that thing requires certain conditions. Even if it is in front of you, you can't use it. He didn't say anything about I'm. Luozi stared at him and said slowly, it seems that you really don't know. Furfur, Luozi, why did you become a Shishibukai? I heard that you, like me, asked for it voluntarily. Doflamingo grinned. No matter what your purpose is, since you know the existence of the national treasure, how about it? Do you want to join forces with me? Glancing at him, Luozi took back Ryujin Jaka. I can't bear to see a celestial dragon's groveling as my little brother, said, turned, and left. The moment he took a step, the space around him distorted. King Liku's second daughter, I took it away. Goodbye. Doflamingo, I still appreciate your previous attitude, remember to recover next time. Disappeared in an instant. Doflamingo. Who is arrogant? This stinky brat, it hurts a bit. He touched the sword wound on his abdomen, thinking to himself, interesting, I definitely want to do something, right? Phew furfur. Report to the world government? This idea has never occurred to me. He even looked forward to the expressions of those celestial dragons one day in the future. Little Lord Dover. The cotters of the family rushed over, and when they saw Doflamingo's injury, they immediately looked ugly. Where did that Shishibukai go? Pika yelled sharply. Calm down, it's just a little thing. Doflamingo moved his palm, and the injured part was undergoing repair surgery. With thin white lines. The kid has something to do with King Liku? Monet. Yes, young master. You arrived first, and the investigation information confirms that there are no omissions. No. In the interpersonal relationship of the Liku clan, there is no such Shishibukai as Luozi. However, Monet hesitated, and said, before he became a Shishibukai, he once came to the bullfighting arena. His dragon easily beat a supernova at the time. Hearing this, Doflamingo's doubts did not diminish. Does it have anything to do with the Riku clan? Then why did you save King Liku's eldest daughter and second daughter? Let someone investigate and collect all his information. Yes, young master, the other side. Luozi took Violet away, without any unnecessary nonsense, directly grabbed her into the Kamui space by force, and let her join her sister Scarlet. After doing this, he summoned Kuai Long to leave. The power I'm wields is not Uranus, so what is Uranus? Luozi couldn't help but think of a woman. Nami. Doubts about Nami are not groundless. This woman is an excellent navigator who can sense the weather just by skin. When she met Poseidon for the first time in the Fishman Island, Poseidon said, although it is the first time we meet, it seems that we have known each other for a long time. To the effect, forget it. It doesn't matter what Uranus is, what is the national treasure in him's hands is the key. Luozi shook his head and temporarily gave up on further research. Chapter 44. The power in Im's hands can easily wipe out a country. Before Luozi crossed, he didn't know what it was. The only thing I know is that that thing wiped out a country called Kingdom of Lulacia in an instant. Somewhat similar to Crack Karakara erasing the Isle of Farn. Before the shot, dark clouds shrouded, and there was a rumbling sound in the clouds, and the people on the island could see the shadow of some kind of behemoth behind the dark clouds. After that, it was the moment of attack. A dazzling light burst out, and several rays of light fell from the sky, directly shattering the island. The entire island is gone? Recalling the relevant information, Luozi took the fast dragon and headed towards Elijah. Honestly speaking, is this unrevealable king of the world interesting? Luozi tried to bring in the identity of Im, but found it not interesting. Elijah. Night. The reception room of the castle. Violet sat on the sofa, feeling uneasy, beside her sister Scarlet and her sister's daughter, Rebecca. Compared to her, Scarlet was much calmer. She hugged her daughter and quietly looked at the savior opposite. Excuse me, what is this place? Violet spoke first. Elijah, I am the king here, you can call me Luozi. Seeing that the other party seemed to have something to say, Luozi interrupted first. I know what you are going to say. Isn't Elijah destroyed? It is indeed destroyed, but we will rebuild her. Violet. A word stuck in his throat. I know you are the 7 warlords of the sea on the news. She whispered, the pirates who attacked Rice Rosa before were also Shishibukai. We are not in the same group. On the contrary, I rescued you. I promised someone to protect your lives. Luozi didn't mention Cyrus' name, it's useless to mention it, it has long been forgotten. Apart from him in the whole world, probably only Doflamingo and his gang still remember it. In short, you will live here from now on. How is Rice Rosa? At this moment, Scarlet couldn't help asking. It will be changed to a king. In a few days, you will be able to see it on the news. As for your father, Liku Dade 3, he is protected and cannot die. Luozi is not very sure, maybe Doflamingo is going to kill King Liku. He went on, Violet, can you dance? When she was asked this question suddenly, she froze for a moment, but still nodded and said, yes, I have been trained in dancing since I was a child. This is the basic social etiquette of a princess. Luozi nodded in satisfaction and said, if you live here, you are no longer princesses, and you need to be self-reliant. I will hire you as the dance teacher of the dance troupe. As the younger sister, Violet subconsciously looked at her sister. Scarlet hugged her daughter tightly. I can also dance, do you need a second dance teacher? You too. A pleasant surprise. Thinking about it carefully, this is of course, Scarlet was also a princess before, and received an elite education since she was a child. Luozi readily agreed, of course. But the premise is that your daughter also needs to join the dance troupe. I think she has a very good dance talent. As he spoke, he looked at the little girl with a smile. Do you want to learn to dance? Rebecca. Dancing? Little big brother, I want to dance too. The young Rebecca didn't know what was going on in the country at all. Anyway, she was very at ease with her mother. Thank you. Scarlet breathed a sigh of relief. She needed a job. Luozi turned on the system. Diva mission, the little girl in front of you has an excellent talent for dancing. Use your domineering spirit to invite her to join the singers' dance troupe. Mission completed. Congratulations on getting the award, Conqueror's Haki. In an instant, Luozi awakened the second Haki. It is also the only one among Conqueror's Haki that cannot be obtained through cultivation. There is no earth-shattering change, just a sudden mastery. Luozi closed his eyes, silently digesting the new ability. It's just a preliminary awakening, and like the armed color, it's in the basic stage. For more advanced Conqueror's winding, you have to figure out your own way. Thinking of this, he opened his eyes and said to the three of them, then, come with me first, and I will take you to meet the future students. Leaving the reception room, Luozi called Gordon and asked him to notify everyone to gather in the music room. Soon, Yuta, Yamato, Hiri, and Runti came to the place. Ziz, where did you go this morning? Yuta hummed a song, in a good mood. I went to find you a dance teacher. Luozi introduced for everyone. This is Violet, and this is Scarlet. From now on, Gordon will teach you music in the morning and dance with them in the afternoon. Ah, so fast. A pair of ear-like hairs on the back of Yuta's head drooped immediately. If you want to be the #1 singer in the world, how can you do it if you don't know how to dance? Luozi looked at Kojiki Hiri and the others. You have to learn too, and you will be backup dancers from now on. Kojiki Hiri is very interested in playing, singing and dancing. At this time, he said with great interest, is the dance in the open sea? It seems very interesting. How to learn to dance? Yamato asked, puzzled. His Majesty Yamato, dancing is, to please others by twisting your limbs to the music. Runti said with her unique understanding. Luozi. It seems to be true to say that, the first dance was to please the gods, that is, to dance at sacrificial activities. Later, it gradually developed to please the nobles, and it is very hard for women who learn to dance. Violet was amused by the girls. Learning to dance, the first step is to press your legs, it will hurt a bit. Hearing this, Luozi immediately imagined a scene. Yuta yelled in pain. Then hurry up and try it. Luozi immediately said with a little mischief, Violet, Scarlet, please do a dance and show off the results. From now on, this group of students will be entrusted to you. Yes. Then, everyone sat in the auditorium. Both are princesses and come from the kingdom of love and passion in Rice Rosa. Their dance moves are more hot and sexy. After a dance, Luozi was quite satisfied with what he saw anyway, as expected of being a princess. After that, it was Yuta's turn to do a few initial leg presses. This is the basic skill among the basic skills, and it is a compulsory subject. Soon, the little girl started yelling in pain. I don't want it anymore, Ziz, save me. It's about to burst. No, you have to persevere. As long as you pull the ligament, it won't hurt anymore. Luozi suppressed a smile and comforted him. Yuta, who is 9 years old, is indeed a little late in learning dance, but it is not a big problem. Compared with her, Kojiki Hiri's flexibility is extremely good. As in Warren, she can easily even split a horse. As for Yamato, he is in such good shape that he is not afraid of pain at all. Runti is similar to Yuta, but she is very strong and persists. The pain of learning to dance was nothing compared to the bullying I got in the Beasts Pirates. One night, it ended in this nonsense. After arranging the residences of the two dance teachers, Luozi took a shower and returned to his bedroom. Maybe because he was tired, Kojiki Hiri didn't come to climb the bed tonight. This made Luozi a little unaccustomed to it, and now he couldn't fall asleep without grabbing something soft at night. Turning on the system, he checked the current tasks. There are 4 more. The first one, Pokemon Master reaches 100 points, and rewards a random Pokemon. This is a repeating task. The second, the Hokage theme song Bluebird, reaches 80 points, awarding the eternal Mangekyo Sharinon. The third one, the Shinigami theme song Rolling Star reaches 80 points, rewarding a high-level Kido. The fourth one, when the singer Yuta reaches 10,000 fans, 10% of Roger's swordsmanship will be rewarded. The number of fans has increased very quickly, and there is nothing to say. What is urgent now is Sharinon. I have used it too many times recently, and my eyesight has declined a little. I must reach 80 points as soon as possible. Luozi touched his eyes, thinking secretly. 3 days later. As he expected, news of the Darice Rosa coup appeared in the newspapers. According to the news, King Liku didn't collect enough 10 billion, so he slashed and killed civilians crazily. His reputation plummeted, and he was rescued by someone afterwards, and he disappeared. The new king is Shishibukai, Doflamingo. When they saw the news, the two new dance teachers were very worried, but they didn't have the strength to do anything. Luozi didn't care about it, and it was for Cyrus' sake that he could save Rebecca's mother by the way. But the headlines in the newspapers were not about this. But another news that shocked the world. Marine Hunter, Great Swordsman, and Hawkeye Joe Lakel My Hawk accepted the offer from the world government. The 7th Shishibukai is born? Chapter 45, Hawkeye is Shishibukai too. Luozi was surprised by the news. In his perception, Hawkeye is not now Shishibukai. This person has fought against the red-haired Shanks many times, but after the red-haired lost an arm, he never played against the red-haired again on the grounds that he was not interested in fighting people who lost arms. After that, he became a Shishibukai. And now, in 1510, the redhead hasn't lost his arm yet. Of course, he was about to lose, if nothing unexpected happened. So, the time when Hawkeye became Shishibukai, a few months earlier, or a year or two. Is it my influence? What did I do to him? I haven't even met him. Compared to this, the Shishibukai are all gathered. Is the world government in a hurry to summon the dragon? Luozi slandered from the bottom of his heart. Read the news carefully. Seems to be Hawkeye recruited by Marine Admiral Akainu himself. Forget it, it has nothing to do with me. Shaking his head, Luozi put down the newspaper. At this time, a maid came over. Sire, communication from Naval Headquarters. Marine. Luozi took the phone bug and said into the microphone, "Who is there?" "I'm Sengoku." The voice on the other side was deep and mighty even through the phone bug. Sengoku of Buddha, the current Marine Marshal? Luozi raised his eyebrows. More than 20 years ago, the previous generation of Marine 3 Admiral. Sengoku, Zephyr, Garp. Of course, Garp among them refused to be promoted several times, so the position of the 3rd Admiral has been vacant, and it is precisely because of the lack of an admiral that the world government has always wanted to promote Garp. Until later, Sengoku was promoted to Marshal, and Zephyr took a back seat. The current 3 admirals, Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru are just beginning. Needless to say, Marine is really talented. Marshal Marine, what's the matter? Luozi restrained his thoughts and said in a neutral tone. Have you seen the news? Luozi, now that 7 warlords of the sea is full, the world government has decided to call you to Marineford. Not interested in. Luozi hung up directly. He threw the phone bug to the maid and said, next time he calls, just say I'm not here. Yes. The maid feels that His Majesty is really capricious. Marshal Marine hangs up the phone as soon as he says it. Is there really no problem? Luozi didn't know that the maid was worrying about him, so he flicked the phone bug and went straight to the dance studio. It is afternoon. Going to a Shishibukai gathering, how can it be interesting to watch the little girls practice dance? When I came to the door of the dance studio, there was a sign outside. During class, men are not allowed to enter. Just kidding, he is only 12 years old, not a man. Moreover, he is a king and deserves privileges. So he decisively pushed the door open, walked in quickly, and closed the door. There are 7 people in the dance room. From childhood to adulthood, they are 4-year-old Rebecca, 9-year-old Yuta, 10-year-old Junti, 14-year-old Kojiki Hiri, 16-year-old Yamato, 17-year-old Violet, and 23-year-old Scar Wright. 2 teachers, 5 students. All of them were wearing tight-fitting snow-white dance suits, highlighting their figures. Not to mention the 3 little ones, starting from Kojiki Hiri, all of them are in great shape. No wonder he had to let the man in. Hearing the sound of the door opening, the 7 girls, big and small, all stopped practicing, all casting puzzled looks. Luo Ziyi said calmly, "Go on, I'm just to see your progress." A few children didn't understand at all, but Kojiki Hiri understood it all at once, and his bright eyes were full of funny looks. The 2 teachers are a bit ashamed, but they are paid after all, and facing the boss who pays the salary, they can't drive them out, and they are still kings. Mr. Luo Ziyi. Violet quickly calmed down. "It's just basic training now, and it will last for a long time. Don't worry about me, you continue." Luo Ziyi found a stool and sat on the side, looking calmly like a supervisor. "Luo Ziyi, do you want to come to dance practice too?" Yamato said stupidly, "It's just a leg press, it's very simple, I can teach you." As he said that, he put one foot on the chair, pressed his upper body down, and attached his long legs, fully demonstrating his flexibility. "Yes, Ziz, you should join us too." Yuta rolled her eyes and ran over immediately, pulling Luo Ziyi to join the dance practice group. She even said plausibly, "Don't be afraid, it doesn't hurt at all." Luo Ziyi. Definitely revenge. The little girl has such a strong desire for revenge, didn't it just cause her to die of pain last night? However, with his current physical fitness, he can't easily catch his legs. Scarlet, who was the oldest and looked like a big sister among the crowd, smiled slightly and said, "Since you're here, let's try it." Kojiki Hiri hid aside, wanting to laugh but not daring to. The lustful manager was bullied by everyone. Come on, I just want to let you know that for things like dancing, as long as you are willing to work hard, a little pain is nothing at all." Luo Ziyi was very calm. It was impossible to go out, so he had to stretch his legs to maintain a decent appearance. But soon, he found that he was wrong. Good physical condition has nothing to do with whether the leg press hurts or not. But in order to be able to come to the dance studio frequently to inspect the work in the future, he endured this little pain. It's all for the dance company? The next day, Naval Headquarters called and the respondent was unavailable. Dance room inspection. On the 3rd day, Naval Headquarters called again, and the reply person was not there. Dance room inspection. On the 4th day, Luo Ziyi, you can't continue to fall. On the 5th day, dance room inspection. Needless to say, Yamato's figure is the best. It's a pity to be a fool. Day 6, dance room, Naval Headquarters calls for a 4th time. You can really hold on, Marshal. Sengoku. In the lounge, Luo Ziyi was lying on a comfortable chair, and 2 maids were massaging his legs. "Luo Ziyi, you bastard boy." Sengoku was obviously very angry, and almost cursed. "Rejecting the summoning of the government will deprive Shishibukai of its name, do you understand? Then you let the 5 elders pick it for me." Luo Ziyi opened his mouth and ate the grapes fed by the 3rd maid. Sengoku. On the other end of the phone bug, Sengoku really choked. "I thought about it before, I just asked Aokiji to hand over a sentence, why did the government agree so easily?" Luo Ziyi said slowly. For a person with unknown origin, he was quickly admitted to be Shishibukai. "Is there some reason for this? Marshal Sengoku, do you know?" Sengoku fell silent. He does not know, but the order given to him by 5 elders is that no matter what, Luo Ziyi must be allowed to participate in the convening of the headquarters. It doesn't matter if someone doesn't come for the other Shishibukai, this person must come. He didn't know why. "How are you willing to participate?" Sengoku took a deep breath, suppressing his anger. "I'm curious, you are in a hurry to summon the Shishibukai, what special action is there? You're here, so you'll know." "Then I won't go." After a pause, Luo Ziyi laughed and said, "It's not a good thing anyway, you can go if you want me, just give me the money." "What did you say?" Sengoku suspected something was wrong with his ears. "What are you surprised about?" "Mr. Marshal, isn't it natural to ask someone to help you and give them money?" Luo Ziyi said. Surprised. Sengoku was speechless. It was the first time he saw such a smelly and shameless guy. Blackmail it on Marine? Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 46. Asking Marine for money was just a whim of Luo Ziyi's. He doesn't really want to go to Naval Headquarters. Is it because the little girls are not good at dancing? Or is it not fun to sing live with Yuta? "You want money? Let me participate once, and it will cost 100 million. Luo Ziyi thought for a while and replied with a reasonable number. Marine's warships are divided into many types, and the most basic warships cost about 100 million baileys. For warships above Vice Admiral, the larger ones cost more than 500 million. Of course, the warship can be used for a long time. Luozi only participates in it once, and the price of an ordinary warship is very reasonable to him. But Sengoku feels unreasonable. He laughed angrily. What day is it today? This is the first time I've heard such a joke. You've heard it now, congratulations. It is not the first time for Sengoku to deal with Shishibukai, but it is the first time for Sengoku to feel tired. He suspected that as long as he refused, the brat on the opposite side would die in the next second. You have to seriously consider the other party's conditions. A mere 100 million baileys is nothing to Marine. If New World catches any pirate who looks very strong, the bounty is more than 100 million. He just got ripped off by a Shishibukai, much to his displeasure. But obviously, he has no room for rejection. Humph, I'll have the money ready, you have the guts to get it yourself. Sengoku gritted his teeth, and said angrily, the collection time is a week later. After speaking, he hung up first. It seems that doing so can make him vent his anger. Luozi didn't care about this childish behavior at all. Are you sure you can promise? Is the price lower? Luozi's expression was subtle. The expressions of the maids beside her were more subtle. Your Majesty seems to have succeeded in blackmailing the current Marshal of Naval Headquarters. After thinking for a while, Luozi decided to take a look. You can pick up 100 million yuan just by going out, and this money is for nothing. The other side. Sengoku hung up the phone angrily. Stinky boy, Shishibukai is a group of troublesome bastards, and this little bastard is still the thorn in the inside. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed his restlessness. After a while, he had someone call a Vice Admiral. Marshal. Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel, walked into the office. What about the other Shishibukai? Except for the Empress, the other 5 people have all agreed. The flying squirrel reported truthfully. Sengoku frowned. The Empress still refused to come? Except for Luozi, who was personally invited by him, the other 6 were of course handed over to his subordinates. He is the Marshal. If it wasn't for the direct orders from above, he wouldn't want to talk to Luozi at all. What does she say? The Pirate Empress said that she won't come unless the other 6 people participate. The flying squirrel said helplessly, these Shishibukai all have conditions, and they must be coerced and lured. But this woman is not allowed. Hearing this, Sengoku pondered for a moment, picked up the phone and dialed the number. After a while, the call was connected. It's me, Sengoku. He spoke first. There was a conversation from the opposite side. My lord, it's from Marine again, this time it seems to be the Marshal. A female voice. Tell them that my concubine is ill. Another female voice had a colder tone. Sengoku said in a deep voice, your conditions have been met. The other 6 people have already agreed. Footsteps from the phone bug, high heels on the deck. Then, the voice of the Empress sounded, all agreed? That stinky Dragon Master Luozi will also go. He just agreed. Sengoku frowned. Did these 2 know each other? I understand. The time is a week later. After Sengoku finished speaking, he cut off the communication first, and then immediately raised his head. What is the relationship between Luozi and the Empress? Luozi helped the Empress once, and Aokiji Admiral reported this matter. Flying Squirrel said speculatively, the 2 seem to have known each other before. Yes. Sengoku narrowed his eyes, and he, who was called the resourceful general, thought of several questions at once. 5 elders asked him to investigate Luozi's origin. The Empress seems to be a breakthrough. Moreover, among the current Shishibukai, only the dragon rider Luozi, Marine, did not know the exact whereabouts. Because the opponent can fly? To be precise, the opponent has a flying dragon. The only thing they know is that the opponent's base camp should be in New World. You go and prepare, let the branches send warships over as soon as possible, and bring people here. Yes, Marshal. Luozi over there. Don't worry about that brat, he will fly over by himself. Time flies, a week in a blink of an eye. During these 7 days, Luozi's life was very fulfilling. Workout in the morning, training Peggywan and Brooke. In the afternoon, I went to the dance studio to inspect and check whether the members of my dance troupe are practicing well. In the evening, I live with Yuta. The number of fans of the little singer is growing faster and faster, and now it has exceeded 5,000. As for the sleeping time, Kojiki Hiyori will sneak in late at night, and no one knows about it except the personal maid. Luozi is used to it. In the dead of night, a pair of headlights are needed to illuminate the cold world. 7 days later, Luozi rode his beloved fast dragon to Naval Headquarters Marineford. As a fast dragon with a normal flight speed of Mach 2, it set off at 7 o'clock in the morning and arrived at Marineford at noon. His appearance even caused commotion among many sailors in the military port. On both sides of the pier in the port, a large number of marine soldiers are separated on both sides, waiting for the arrival of the Shishibukai. A dragon suddenly flew from the sky, which frightened the group of sailors to raise their guns. "Put down your weapon, it's Shishibukai," the flying squirrel vice admiral said in a deep voice, and he shouted towards the sky, "Dragon Rider, Luozi, I am the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Flying Squirrel, and I am ordered to meet you here. Please come down." Kuailong lowered the altitude. The sailors cast curious eyes one after another. "This is the youngest Dragon Rider in the Shishibukai. You're only 11 or 12 years old. Do you really have the huge combat power to rival to a country? This dragon has a little cuteness." The whispers of the sailors made the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral's face darken. "Shut up. Now is the time to show our marine majesty." All the sailors fell silent for a moment. Sitting on Kuailong's back, Luozi smiled when he saw this scene. "Do you still have such a thing as majesty? It's so strange." "Luozi, please come down. Dragons cannot enter the island." The flying squirrel ignored the teasing and put on a serious expression. "Looks like I'm the first." Luozi glanced at the ships docked at the port and chuckled. "No, you are the second." "Vice Admiral," the flying squirrel said blankly, "the one who arrived before you is the pirate empress, Boya Hancock." Chapter 47. The Queen came very early. Is it because of the proximity? It doesn't seem to be very close. Daughter Island is about a week's flight from Naval Headquarters. Without thinking too much, Luozi jumped off Kuailong's back, and then took it in with the pokeball. With a flash of red light, Kuailong disappeared in front of everyone. The red and white ball in the intelligence. The flying squirrel silently observed this scene, and thought to himself, "How did you put such a big dragon into a ball? There are very powerful scientists behind this kid. Is it a product of technology?" Of course, Marine also has scientific troops, and even Vegapunk, a scientist who is 500 years ahead of the world. But even Vegapunk has never heard of a similar technology. Suppressing the curiosity in his heart, the flying squirrel calmly made a gesture of invitation. "This way please." Under the watchful eyes of all the Marines, Luozi entered the port. The naval port of Marineford is a crescent-shaped inner bay. Pass through the square in the inner bay, step on the winding stone steps, and walk for a few minutes before arriving in front of the headquarters building. This is a boxy fortress, big at the bottom and small at the top. The front wall of the fortress is as high as a dozen-story building, and behind the entrance gate in the middle is a ladder that goes up obliquely, reaching the top of the fortress wall. Under the escort of Marine, Luozi stepped up. After walking the long stairs, there is another 3-story high platform, with cannons erected under the platform, and sailors standing guard and patrolling all around. When they saw Luozi, they all stood at attention and saluted. Marine salutes the pirates, even though I'm not a pirate. Luozi had a half smile, but the headquarters attached great importance to Shishibukai, but it was a pity that it was all a wink to a blind man. Shishibukai is so reliable that sows can climb trees. It's another journey. After going up to the 3-story high platform, it is the real office building. The architectural style is biased towards Japanese-style ancient buildings. There are 4 floors in total. The meeting place is on the 2nd floor. The 3rd floor is the office of the admirals. And the 4th floor is the office of the marshal. When Luozi walked into a conference room on the 2nd floor, he saw the empress with one hand on her hips and one finger pointing at several sailors who had turned into stone. "Irreverent? Resign from me? Is this fruit poisoned? I don't have the slightest trust in you, Marine." Luozi glanced at the meeting table, and there were a lot of apples, bananas, and grapes piled up in front of the empress. The flying squirrel behind him looked ugly. "Boya Hancock, what are you doing? This is just our etiquette for entertaining guests. You don't want to eat it, and there is no need to turn them into stone. Humph! The Empress snorted proudly, stood up, and saw Luo Zi when she turned her head. You are here too. He sat back in his seat with a calm tone. Long time no see. Luo Zi greeted him and sat down in his seat. Speaking of which, I haven't seen her for more than a month. This woman is still the same, and she is the focus of attention wherever she goes. It can only be said that she is worthy of being the #1 beauty in the world. Remove their petrification quickly. The flying squirrel suppressed his displeasure, and begged, the things will be taken away. The Empress didn't say anything, and blew lightly on the stone. Immediately, several petrified bodies instantly returned to their original shape. Hurry up and take the things away. Seeing the ugliness of these people, the flying squirrel immediately said angrily, stop messing with this woman again. Is that something you can afford? A bunch of lustful idiots? Yes, yes. Several sailors took away the fruit in shame. After the people left, the flying squirrel said, I still have work to do, you two wait here first. After speaking, he turned and left. In the conference room, only Luo Zi and the Empress were left. Luo Zi coiled the elf ball in his hand, looked up at the Empress opposite, don't wear the red one today, and changed to the black one. Hearing this, the corners of the queen's mouth rose slightly, as if she was very satisfied with this question. I look beautiful in everything I wear, is my body beautiful? Luo Zi was speechless for a while. This woman got into a fight with him, didn't she just say smelly shameless earlier? As if seeing an opportunity, she turned the palms of both hands in the direction of Luo Zi, drew a heart shape, and the smile on the corner of her mouth became brighter and brighter, marrow mellow. Circles of heart-shaped pink light popped out from between her fingers, expanded rapidly, and passed through Luo Zi's body in the blink of an eye. Smelly child, turned into a stone. Her words paused, her expression dull. Luo Zi was still sitting there intact, even resting his cheek with one hand, with a hint of teasing in his eyes. Why didn't you turn into a stone? The Empress opened her eyes wide and murmured in disbelief, impossible, how could it be possible that I don't have the slightest bit of lust? The concubine changed her body specially to participate in this kind of gathering. Thanks for your hard work, it's so pretty, Luo Zi praised. The Empress suffered a severe blow, and her whole body was not well. Accidentally spoke my mind. Impossible, this kind of thing is absolutely impossible? This stinky child looked at her, obviously very. She bit her lower lip and stared fiercely at Luo Zi. Why don't you turn into stone? Why should I be turned into stone? You perverted child, the look in your eyes just now was definitely confused by my concubine. Indeed, you look better today than before. Then you should be turned to stone. I don't want to be turned into stone. The eyes of the two collided in the air, and the queen's teeth itched in anger. In vain? This Shishibukai rally, don't take part? She wanted to leave on the spot. God knows how long she has been preparing for this moment. At this time, a tall figure walked in. Alala, it's not okay to fight here. The Empress glanced at Aokiji, ignored it, and continued to stare at Luo Zi. Luo Zi conceded defeat. The woman looked like she wanted to eat him. Isn't it just using Kamui to avoid petrification? What's the fuss about? Being hit by that kind of love ray, he's sure that he's 100% petrified. Seeing that both of them ignored him, Aokiji scratched his head helplessly. It's all here, can you give me back my hand? He said to Luo Zi, recently, this arm is a bit out of control. What hand? My hand. Is there such a thing? Luo Zi thought for a while, and finally remembered. I forgot about it a long time ago, ashamed. Immediately hint at the other party with your eyes. Aokiji looked blank. Hey, I did promise you that I would pay you back, but the shipping fee, you won't refuse it. In order to send you your arm, my Kuailong flew tens of thousands of kilometers. Based on the biofuel cost of 10,000 berries per kilometer, you can give 100 million casually. Aokiji was so angry that he wanted to hit someone. 100 million? His annual salary is not even 100 million. Chapter 48, Are you that short of money? You don't even have 100 million, do you? Luo Zi felt a little unbelievable. This is Marine Admiral, so poor? He really needs money, and the money needed to rebuild Elegia is astronomical. Aokiji said helplessly, who would run around with so much money? Money, of course not. He only has hundreds of thousands of in his whole body, and he is poor enough to eat. Most of the income was donated by him to the orphanage under Marine. Repay you? Luozi was speechless, his gaze narrowed slightly, and suddenly, the vortex of time and space spat out an arm. Aokiji grabbed it quickly, and the arm became a shard of ice in his palm, melting into his body. Thank you. Seeing how poor you are, why don't you consider coming to my place? I'll double your salary. Luozi poached people on the spot. Hearing this, Aokiji smiled and said, I might think about it when I quit Marine. With that said, he turned and left. After taking a few steps, he turned around and said, by the way, don't fight here. If you break it, you have to pay for it. As soon as they left, there were only 2 people left in the conference room. You really gave it back to him. The Empress said softly, I know it, you perverted child. It's not that you don't have lust, but you used your own ability to avoid it. It's pretty smart to react so quickly. It's useless for me to keep it. After all, it's really surprising that you will come to the rally. Luozi said helplessly. Came all the way here just to give him a marrow. Marrow mellow? Humph, the Empress snorted, and turned her head to the side. Don't speak, pretend to be cold. The 19-year-old Empress is far less cold than the 29-year-old. This is Luozi's experience after 2 contacts. Neither of them spoke, and the office was quiet for a few minutes. Luozi picked up a newspaper casually and read it casually. Not long after, Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel, walked in with a shishibukai. The visitor was tall, nearly 7 meters tall, like an onion. He, you are the pirate Empress and dragon rider. The Empress glanced at the visitor, ignoring him. Luozi looked down at the newspaper, as if there was something interesting in the newspaper. Gecko Moria, you enter the conference room first. The flying squirrel said in a deep voice, don't make trouble here. After speaking, he left again. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, Moria snorted and sat down on Luozi's left. He crossed his arms over his chest, with the corners of his mouth pulled down, with an unhappy expression on his face. After a while, footsteps were heard outside the house again. This time 2 people came at the same time. One of them was still walking in an arrogant figure of 8 gait, with his back bent and his hands in his pockets. He looked like a street guy, Don Quixote da Flamingo. The other has a cigar in his mouth, a golden pirate hook in his left hand, and a face full of the expression of my second son, Sherlock Dahl. Phew, we meet again. Healed. Luozi glanced at him. There was a suture line in Doflamingo's lower abdomen, and he sat on the right side of Luozi at this time. The outside injury is healed, but the inside doesn't know. He sneered. It seems that there is a story between you. Lockdoll's voice was hoarse. Obviously he had smoked too much. He just wanted to sit in the row opposite. The Empress looked at him with a cold look. Its meaning is only one word. Roll? I hate men. Can you stop being an eyesore? Lockdoll was livid. Luozi couldn't help laughing. I advise you to provoke her. She is in a very bad mood now. As soon as I finished speaking, I felt that the foot under the table was stepped on by a sharp object. Hiss. This woman's legs are so long? Luozi frowned fiercely, and when he looked up, he saw the Empress staring at him. Children? Still playing with this smelly child? Hearing the conversation between the 2, Clock Doll's face became more and more ugly. Obviously, these 2 people look very familiar. If it's a one-on-one, he doesn't think he's afraid of any pirate Empress, but if it's a one-on-2, now is not the time to make trouble. With a cold snort, Clock Doll went around to the man's side and sat next to Doflamingo. He, you are so majestic. Pirate Empress. Moria, who was watching the play, rubbed her hands secretly. Do you want to be turned into stone? Empress Haki said a word, suppressing the audience. Should I say it or not? Moria really can't beat her. Unfortunately, Moria does not know. His expression was very unhappy, and the shadow under him was changing shape rapidly like a flowing liquid. It looked like a fight was about to start. Phew. Doflamingo watched the excitement without thinking it was a big deal. Let's fight. The 2 of you join forces and deal with the 2 of them. Don't worry, I will help you stop Marine. Luozi, don't put me in her camp without authorization. At this time, another door in the office was suddenly pushed open, and several people walked in one after another. Don't mess around here, you see scum. Sengoku led the charge, followed by Vice Admiral Garp, Seaman Jinbei, and Hawkeye my hawk. Shishibukai, here you go. Sengoku sat at the head of the conference table, and Garp sat at the other end. You are Luo Zi. Garp stared at Luo Zi the whole time. Luo Zi said unexpectedly, what advice do you have? What you said to Kizuro caused the old man to be questioned by the superiors for a few days. The Sabayati Archipelago report? Luo Zi put down the newspaper, casually folded a windmill, and then lightly threw it to Garp. I'll see you off. Garp was silent when he received the pinwheel. General? Enough. Sengoku said in a deep voice, stop talking nonsense. Now that everyone is here, let's talk about business. Hawkeye put his feet on the table, hugged his chest and said, sorry. I'm late. Jinbei just sat there without saying anything. Moria and Lockdoll paused for a moment. Doflamingo grinned as if he knew something. The Empress didn't care about the content of the meeting at all. She occupied one side of the long table by herself, resting her chin with one hand, her mind drifting away. Luo Zi swept across the crowd and shook his head secretly. Are these Shishibukai reliable? There will be ghosts if you can rely on it. Oh, and I'm a Shishibukai too, so that's fine. Sengoku snorted and said, this is the first time you have been summoned, and it is also the meaning of the higher UPS. After a pause, he continued, the existence of the 7 warlords of the sea is to bring the Grand Line back into balance. The 3 emperors of the New World, the naval headquarters, and Shishibukai. From now on, this ocean will be controlled by these 3 major trends. More chaos ensues. Greater chaos. Doflamingo said with a half-smile, frankly, Sengoku, I've heard about it. Sengoku looked calm and said after a while, this time, you need to deal with a pirate group. Their captain may become the 4th Sea Emperor in the future. Hearing this, Luo Zi was taken aback. The name is Red Hair Shanks? Some time ago, a country named Elijah was destroyed. Don't tell me you don't know about this big news that caused a sensation in the world. Sengoku slapped a stack of wanted warrants on the table. That's the main force of the Red Hair Pirates. This pirate group, after committing the crime of destroying the country, took the initiative to attack the government ship. This time, it was the direct order of the 5 elders. The 7 of you cooperate with the naval headquarters to defeat the Red Hair Pirates. Chapter 49, World Government to deal with Shanks. Still summoned all Shishibukai for massive action. Luo Zi thought to himself, did something similar happen in the original book? The Red Hair Pirates that destroyed Elijah have wiped out a whole country, and this kind of big pirate will definitely deal with it. But that's not the point of the question. The key is Sengoku's sentence again took the initiative to attack the government's ship. Could it be the rubber fruit incident? The more Luo Zi thought about it, the more reasonable it became. Only when the rubber fruit was robbed would the world government be in such a hurry. This devil fruit with the name of God was not recorded in the ancient devil fruit chart. It also has another name, Zoan human fruit phantom beast Nika form. The name Nika has long been erased by the world government and buried in the depths of history. It is only recorded in very old documents. For 800 years, the world government has been pursuing this fruit, and now that it has been robbed, it will naturally be anxious. According to the time, it's right. In the original book, Shanks snatched this fruit, and then brought it to Windmill Village, where it was eaten by Straw Hat Luffy. Luo Zi felt that this might be the truth, but he couldn't guarantee it 100%. Maybe there are other reasons? He was thinking alone here, and the others were not idle. Moria said dissatisfied. It's just a pirate who has rewarded King Kong over 1 billion, so it needs such a big battle. Fufurfur is worthy of being a supernova 11 years ago, a pirate who broke into New World with a bounty of 320 million. Doflamingo's superficial smile did not smile, which was quite a bit of yin and yang. To deal with Red Hair. Hawkeye's gaze was sharp. Rumors from the outside world, are you old friends with that pirate? Clock Doll pointed out. Hawkeye glanced at him, but ignored him. Jinbei said in a deep voice, no matter who you are dealing with, before that, when will you fulfill what you promised me? Hearing this, Sengoku nodded and said, after finishing this crusade, I will have the Murloc Arlong released. I understand, I will participate. Jinbei was the first to agree. On the side, Luo Zi raised his eyebrows. Arlong, is it the Arlong who occupied Nami's hometown and killed Nami's adoptive mother? The future captain of the Dragon Pirates ran from the Grand Line to East Blue to do his best, thinking that human beings are inferior races. Find a chance to deal with him. If I remember correctly, this group ran to East Blue in 1502. There is plenty of time. But, considering the variables, Luozi decided to send him to hell as soon as possible after he was released from prison. By the way, how old is Nami now? 8-year-old. Very good, still a young girl. The next member of the dance troupe is decided to be you. Thinking of this, he immediately said, it doesn't matter who you deal with, just give me the money first. Sengoku's face darkened a bit. This kind of private transaction, can't it be mentioned in private? Sure enough, the rest of the people cast their gazes over in unison. Sengoku looked as usual. I will give you after the meeting. This is your reward for providing information. Then, without waiting for others to ask questions, he immediately looked around at everyone. The 7 of you must participate in this operation. Headquarters will also send Aokiji to accompany you. Such a grand lineup. Those who didn't know it thought they were going to crusade against the 3 pirate emperors. What is the current red hair? But, not to mention the rest of the red hair pirates, Captain Red Hair Shanks, must be captured alive. Sengoku added last. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions were a bit weird. Even the Empress couldn't help frowning. She glanced at Luozi, but saw his expression was clear. Do the stinky kids know? Luozi does know. Hearing the word capture alive, he immediately reacted. If memory serves, Shanks are celestial dragons. From a family of celestial dragons called Figaland? It seems that you have no doubts. Then I invite you to go downstairs for dinner, and leave immediately after lunch. The meeting is over. After speaking, Sengoku got up and left. 1 Admiral, 7 Shishibukai. This lineup is completely handy against a red hair pirates. Of course, the premise is that everyone really contributes. I happen to be hungry. Doflamingo got up first, and then everyone walked out of the gate one after another. The sailors guarding the door immediately led the Shishibukai to the restaurant. In a blink of an eye, there were only 2 people left in the meeting room. The Empress said bluntly, you know, I know. Red hair pirates. Why do you want to capture alive? Luozi told him frankly, because he is celestial dragons. As soon as these words came out, the Empress' expression changed immediately. Hatred and killing intent burst out instantly, but soon restrained. Again, she left the meeting room silently. When I walked to the door, I turned around suddenly. Aren't you hungry? Is this an invitation to accompany me? Luozi shook his head and said, I'm waiting for someone. Oh, it's here, you'd better leave. After the Empress glimpsed another door of the meeting room, several men in white suits came out one after another. People from world government? A trace of disgust flashed in her eyes, and she quickly walked away. Dragon Rider, Luozi. We are CP0. The leader is wearing a white monkey face mask. He put a money box on the conference table, opened it, and showed the 100 million Baileys inside. This is the money Sengoku promised you. You're welcome. Luozi's eyes narrowed, and suddenly, the entire money box was sent into the Kamui space. By him. The masked man with a white monkey face took a step back in a hurry, and said solemnly, we don't mean any harm, I just wanted to ask you a few questions. I know what you're going to ask. That dragon's name is Karakura. After finishing speaking, Luozi got up satisfied and walked out of the house. Wait, there are. One question is 100 million, and you can talk to me when you have the money ready. In the words, the person has disappeared at the door. Several CP0s looked at each other. What should I do? One of them asked in a low voice. You can't use violence. The man with the white monkey face mask said in a deep voice, according to the information I got, this person is very strong. It's just Shishibukai, and it looks so small. One person whispered. Stop talking. Stupid, when did age become the criterion for judging strength? With a cold snort, the monkey-faced masked man lowered his voice and said, there is an unsure piece of information that Kaido, one of the 3 emperors, had a leg broken by this man. What? Everyone turned pale with shock, their faces full of horror. Impossible? That Kaido? It's impossible. Marine has caught that guy a few times, but he can't kill him at all. It's a monster? They all escaped in the end. If you only talk about defense, Kaido is #1 in the world. Everyone couldn't believe it. The masked man with monkey face said lightly, Kaido broke a leg, it's true. Everyone gasped, with indelible fear in their eyes. At the same time, secretly rejoicing. Fortunately, I didn't do it just now. Chapter 50. Why did 5 elders agree to him being Shishibukai so simply? Luozi has thought about this problem before. He became Shishibukai because of the Dark Night incident, 2 days after that incident. So the answer is relatively obvious. For some reason, the world government gave him the blame for the Dark Night incident, concealing the information about the existence of Karakura. Now, that people from CP0 contact him, there is no doubt that they want to ask about Karakura from him. In this regard, Luozi didn't even mind telling the other party directly that Karakura was his pet. But telling the other party in vain is obviously not in his interest. That depends on how much the 5 elders are willing to pay. Don't want the free money, isn't that a fool? While thinking about it, he had already gone downstairs to the restaurant on the first floor of Naval Headquarters. The Shishibukai sat around the dining table, eating and drinking without any scruples. The Empress sat at another table. Luozi glanced at the men's table, not interested in eating with these rough guys, turned around and sat opposite the Empress. Seeing her holding a glass of red wine, she seemed to be unaware of his arrival. I advise you not to eat it. Okay. The Empress came back to her senses, her eyebrows slightly frowned. She doesn't like to eat at the same table as a man, but let's forget about this stinky kid. This guy is one of the minority, she is not such a nasty male. What's wrong with the food here? Who knows, I don't eat anyway. Luozi immediately took out the bento prepared by the maids from the Kamui space. Since he chose to come here to pick up money, he was naturally prepared. Seeing him being so careful, the Empress wanted to laugh, but she didn't laugh because of her distrust of Marine. She put down her wine glass, stared at it for a while, and suddenly said, "Is there any more? Do you want the ones you've eaten?" Luozi rolled his eyes, and immediately took out a piece of fruit. "The bento is gone, and the fruit after dinner will be given to you, remember to pay." Empress. She picked up a banana, peeled it open and took a bite viciously. "My stomach is really hungry, so I can't make things difficult for my stomach." Simple meal. Not long after, Aokiji walked in. "It seems that you all like Marine's cafeteria? When you're full, it's time to go." Phew furfur, whether this crusade is successful or not, it will become big news afterwards. Doflamingo grinned and said, "Before setting off, I think it's better to eliminate the unstable factors in the team. I didn't expect that someone would fleeing." The next moment, he, Moria, and Kei Lakadar all looked at Hawkeye in unison. Aokiji said lazily, "Can't you just stop for a while? This hasn't started yet. Is there going to be internal strife? Are these Shishibukai reliable?" There are also opposing voices within Marine, such as his teacher, the former Zephyr Admiral, who has a strong distrust of the Shishibukai system. Luozi stood up suddenly. "Give me a life card." Huh. Aokiji was taken aback. The life card is very common in New World. It is neither afraid of water nor fire. It is made of nails mixed with special materials. The torn papers will point to the owner together. It will take a long time for you to catch up with the red hair. I'm not interested in drifting with you on the sea. Just let me know a few hours in advance when it's almost here. He. You don't want to run, do you? Moria smiled strangely. Aokiji didn't think so. Out of these 7 people, this kid was probably the most honest. His arm was said to be returned, and he finally returned it. "Whatever you want." Aokiji took out a small piece of paper from his pocket and threw it directly to Luozi. Afterwards, Luozi released his own dragon and flew out of the restaurant in a blink of an eye. Seeing this, the Empress raised her eyebrows and said, "I don't want to be on the same boat as your Marine, so I will let the 9 snake pirates follow." Soon after, the Holy Land of Marijoy's Office of the 5 Elders. The man with the white monkey face mask reported the situation in full. "Crack Karakura. What an arrogant name. God of the sky." Several people with the highest authority looked at each other and shook their heads. "A name I've never heard of. Just knowing the name is meaningless. What is its origin?" the goatee old man asked in a deep voice. That Shishibukai said, "One problem is 100 million. It's just money." The blonde 5 elders froze for a moment, then frowned. "Since he asks for money, you give it to him. Why did you come back?" The man with the monkey face mask was speechless for a moment. "Isn't this no money? He just brought 100 million. Over there, which was informed by Sengoku in advance, who knew how many questions he would have to pay. He said nothing. 5 elders looked worried. This guy doesn't know how to do things flexibly. If you don't have money, can you ask Marine for it? Just a few 100 million. You go and get 1 billion, and go to naval headquarters. 5 elders said calmly with a knife in his mouth. 1 billion. Seemed to be 10 Baileys. Yes. Elegia. It was evening when Luozi returned. The girls just finished today's dance training and went to the bathhouse to take a bath together. Luozi waited quietly in the live broadcast room. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he turned on the system and looked at the task. Bluebird currently has the highest singing score of 78 points, which is still 2 points away. While thinking, Brooke also walked in. Yo ho ho ho, Mr. Luozi, it's very early today. Just came back from naval headquarters. Luozi is adjusting the strings of the guitar. Recently, he is letting Kojiki Hiri learn guitar and other instruments, but it will take some time for her to accompany him. That girl could only play shamisen and other common instruments of Wanakuni. The call of Shishibukai? What happened? Brooke sat down in front of the piano and asked curiously. To crusade against Hong. At this time, Yuta, who had just taken a shower and had wet hair, walked in cheerfully. What is the crusade against? Fight the redhead Shanks. Luozi has nothing to hide, and he has nothing to hide. Sooner or later, news will come out. Upon hearing this, Yuta was stunned. Fight the Shanks. He robbed something very important from the world government, so he was targeted. Yuta looked worried. Ziz, are you going to? Of course, I told you earlier, I'll beat him up for you. Luozi beckoned and asked Yuta to come over. He patted the little diva's head. The government wants to capture her alive. Don't worry, that rotten Shanks has a very serious life. Yuta's small face was tangled. On the one hand, he is worried about his adoptive father Shanks, and on the other hand, he is worried about Luozi. She was so worried to death on both sides that she didn't know what to do. Why is there always conflict in this world? She sighed a little. Can't everyone live in peace? So, little Yuta, spread your voice to the world, and your voice will bring peace and joy. Brooke comforted from the side. That's right, I have to work hard today. Yuta cheered up quickly, and grabbed Luozi's hand. Promise me that nothing will happen. And Shanks, you all will be safe. Luozi smiled lightly. Of course he will be fine, he just ran to watch the fun. As for contribution, it is estimated that no one will contribute. These Shishibukai are just doing it casually in the end. Well, maybe the Empress will help, but who made Shanks celestial dragons? Consider yourself unlucky. It was 9 days in a blink of an eye. In the past few days, Yuta practiced singing harder. Although she was a little worried about Shanks' incident, the incident of being abandoned was still vivid in her memory, and she couldn't do anything. She was even more worried about Luozi than Shanks. After all, she knew that Shanks was very strong, but she didn't know the specific strength of Luozi. Luozi, as always, is fulfilling every day. He had Yuta focus on practicing the Bluebird when he realized the side effects of the Sherinon were starting to show up. Until now, this song has finally reached an 80-point singing score. Mission completed. Mangekyo Sherinon Eternal Mangekyo. Sherinon? The upgrade this time not only relieved the crisis of possible blindness in the future, but at the same time, after reaching the Eternal Mangekyo, Sharingan's various abilities have also been improved to a certain extent. He got stronger again. But compared to this, the follow-up tasks concerned him more. Diva training task, Diva Yuta sang Bluebird. When the singing score reached 100 points, the Eternal Mangekyo Sherinon was upgraded to Rinnegan. Rinnegan. It's a pity that it needs 100 points. Before the vocal cords are fully developed, it is too difficult for Yuta to achieve 100 points. Upgrading to 80 is doable, although the song is a little harder. But 100 points is another dimension. Even with the blessing of singing fruits, it is extremely difficult for Yuta to sing flawlessly. Sure enough, I still have to find a way to find Bonnie. Use the power of the annual fruit. While thinking, the maid came again. Your Majesty, this is Marine Admiral Aokiji's liaison. What did he say? He said that the Red Hair Pirates are expected to be intercepted before 10 o'clock tonight. Please prepare as soon as possible. I see. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.